Good day. Good day. So today we are going to talk briefly about NPM, and we are also going to talk about Express briefly, and how we are going to use both. So NPM is a package manager. So we'll see what packages are, and then Express is a package which you install using npm, and Express is what we are going to be using to build APIs. So today we are going to look at these two technologies and how they are being used. So we are going to see what npm is. So we are going to know what is npm, how it's being used, what are the commands you can use with npm. Then we are also going to look at how to start a project using npm. So you can use npm to start or initialize the project. We are also going to look at how to install and uninstall from npm. Then we are going to set up a simple Express server in this class. So that's what we are going to cover today. Let's start. So what is npm? So npm is simple. npm is a package manager used to manage node related projects and its dependencies. So when I say dependencies or dependencies, or I say packages, what should come into your mind is that for a project to be done on like, for example, your API, for you to write a full API, there are some ingredients, there are some things you might need to write that API. So for example, as like we are writing API, we need Express because we want to use Express to um, be able to make like accept requests, API calls, request, and then send a response. If we want to connect to a database, for example, we need a package or a dependency that helps us connect to database. So in this case, if we are using MongoDB, for example, we need a package named Mongoose that should help us connect and should help us write schemas. If we want to, what else can we do? Let me digress. If we want to like design front end, like do front end, for example, so we need to install React. So React is like a dependency or a package we will need for writing React projects. So that's for front end. The same thing with Vue. So all these packages you would need, maybe if on front end, for example, if you wanted to style using, let's say, Bootstrap or Tailwind, you install Bootstrap or you install Tailwind as a dependency if you're using npm to manage your packages. So it's the same thing for backend. So backend has all these different packages, and then you need a reliable way to manage those packages. So npm is what you actually use to manage those packages. So let's go on. So npm is npm is a package manager used to manage node related projects, and then you use npm, you use the npm arguments with other arguments to run npm related commands. So if you want to issue a command, for example, I want to start a project or an npm project, for example, sorry, a node project now, and I want to involve npm to manage my packages. I would use npm to, I could use npm to initialize that project, that's to create that project. I can use npm to install dependencies, to uninstall dependencies, to install a list of dependencies, and the rest. Now, these dependencies, when they are installed into a folder called node modules. So node modules is a folder that stores, like that keeps all the packages, all your packages, the packages for your projects. Then we look at then there's another folder generated for your name package.json. So package.json is used to keep the list of packages. So let's go over to VS Code. So what I just did was I created an empty folder here, and then this empty folder, I just name it Git practice. Then I opened that folder with VS Code. So open with other applications. I choose VS Code to open that folder with. So that's why you're seeing this express practice here. So now I want to show you how to use npm to start a project. So here on this is a VS Code. I would come here. I would open a new terminal. So I'm opening a new terminal inside this Git practice. Then if I just write npm init and I press enter, so see that I'm going to be asked some certain questions. So I hope you guys are seeing my screen. Okay, so let's continue. So we have so now I just ran npm init, and then I need to like before I could set up a project, I need to answer some questions. So before then, we see this utility will walk through creating package.json file. So package.json file is a file that has metadata about your project. So metadata is just like, what is your project about? What is the name of your project? What is the version of your project? What dependencies are your project using? What is the entry point of your project, and the rest of those things. So they even show us other commands. So if I run npm help init, so this gives me a definitive document on fields and exactly what they do and the rest. So you can run this to, if you want to read about like npm's documentation, you can use this to, or npm this init, what is used for, how to use it and the rest. You can do npm help init, then npm install afterwards to install a package and save it as a dependency in your package.json file. So let's continue. So this is how to install your packages. So now they're asking me package name. So I could name it whatever I want to name it. Or if I still want to continue express practice, I just need to press enter. It will ask me for the version. So the version is like, what version of this project am I presently working on? So I could leave it at 1.0. Then the description, maybe I could write startup project for npm of for express. Then I'm asked what should be the entry points, and then the default is index.js, but I like naming mine server.js. Then test command, I don't have any. Git repository, I don't have any keywords, so I could use express, don't know, express, let me just leave it as express. So auto, of course, my name. So is there any license now? So after that, it would ask me, it will show me how the what is going to be generated in my package.json. This is what is going to be generated. So it's asking me if this is okay by me. If I say yes and press enter, we now have package.json here with all those things, my name, the license. So the license is an ISC license, there's MIT license too. Then the scripts, I haven't put anything here. Then the server here, I wrote main.js, so, or server.js. So this is like my package.json. So now I have initialized a project, and then this is how this is the where everything about that project is being stored on, like the metadata for that, for this project, for example, which is the project name is Git Express Practice. So let's go on. So we've done this. npm init is used to initialize a new Node.js project. This creates a package.json file that has metadata about the project we are initializing. So we've done that. Now, how to install and uninstall dependencies on your project. Now, if you want to install a package which will be saved as a dependency on your project, you use the npm install, then you now write the package name. So if I want to install Express, I'll write npm install Express. If I want to remove Express as from my packages, I use npm uninstall, then the package name. So now your install package will be listed in package.json, but the dependency itself, like the files for those dependencies and the rest, will be stored inside Node Modules folder. So now let's go back to this point. We see that we just have only package.json. There's no Node Modules folder, and we've not created server.js. Let's just create server.js. So file, say server.js. Now, this server.js here, acts as the entry point for this project. So the first file, and when I run this project, the first file that this project is going to see, it's going to be this server.js. So from here, it can now go over to other files and the rest. Now, I want to install Express on this project. So I want to use Express to maybe make simple API calls. So what I could do is npm install Express. Now, notice we only have name, version, description, main, we have scripts, we have keywords, we have author, we have license. But when I run this command, you'll notice that something would change here. We would have dependencies too as an object here in this JSON package.json. Yes, so we have, now you've seen we have dependencies express. So now, see what we've done so far is we've initialized a project, and then we've installed the dependency, and which is Express here, Express as a dependency. So from there, let's continue. Now, if I want to remove this dependency now, I'll just do npm uninstall, then the name of the dependency, which is Express. But I don't want to uninstall it. Now, if you notice, we have package.json, we have node modules. Now, this node modules contains everything about that our package we just installed, which is Express. So now, Express came as a package, but here it's saved as a dependency. If you notice, okay, so this is Express, and then these are now Express on its own has its own dependencies. If you look here, Express has its own dependency, which is accept, array, body, parser, content, the rest of these other things. These are things you shouldn't really worry yourself about though for now. So just know that when you install a dependency, most times that dependency, or when you install a package, that package comes with its own it's installed as a dependency for your project, and it comes with its own dependencies. So Express is not just Express. Express comes with all this, but for now, you don't need to worry about that. Just know that one thing you just need to know is that whatever you've written, whatever package you've installed here is saved in your node modules folder. So that is something very important. Don't forget that. So I hope you guys are following. So let me check. So if you're following, you can comment on the chat session. Just say I'm following, and so that I'll know you're actually following. If you have any question, can ask. So now, today I want us to create a simple um, Express server. So this won't really take our time. It's something very simple we can do. So first we set up, so we've run npm init, we've created the entry point, which is this server.js, so which is required to run your project. Is the first file your project sees. Then three, we would set up a simple server for listening to requests. So we'll set up this server now. So that's the next thing we are going to do. So we'll just say, now for you to use dependencies, you have to in a way import them. Here we use require. So I can say express should be equals to require, then I put in that name. So now if I write E and X, we see express here. So I could just click on it. I need to use express, then const I think app should be equals to express, that way. So now I'm running express. So now this is what you need to write to start express up. So in a folder somewhere, express is, if okay, see it here, express is a function. So in a folder, if we do something like this, we should see express somewhere. Okay, so okay, this is it, E, this function E, and then somewhere it is being exported. Okay, we export E. So we are exporting express. So this express itself, this is what we are importing from. So the way we import it here is we say, give me a minute. Okay, so this express is a function somewhere, and we are calling it, we first import it here, and then we are calling it, and when we call it, we save the we don't want to be writing express like this, so we just give it a shorter name, which is app. Then we can, or whatever I want to call it, you can call it W, you can call it X, but here we are calling it app. Then after that, you want to create a listener. So if we check this code, after that, after doing this, you want to create a listener to listen to port 3000 for any request. So now what we'll do is we'll just do app.listen. Then if you like, you can specify a port name. So you can say port, let port should be equals to let's say 3000. Then you can say port here, and can use an arrow function to console.log something to yourself. So if you run this server, we are going to see this console.log. We could pass the ports in here. So what's wrong? Okay, so yeah, so let's continue. So I could console, you don't need to pass ports into the callback function as an argument. So server running on ports, then we have $, then we now write ports there. So now we can run this by writing npm it runs server.js so I get an error here. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to write node instead of server. So now we see server running on port 3000. We can shorten this. So instead of writing node server.js, we can come here and say start. And then in here, we write node server dot or notes. I think server would work without the .js. So if I come here and write npm start, okay, I didn't put comma. Okay, so instead of running node server, we can just add a start here in the script, and then we put in the command we want to run anytime we reference start. So I could use npm start to start my server this way. Now, we've written a very simple server, but this server is not listening for anything. It's just running. It's listening, but we haven't written any logic to actually maybe declare a route for this particular server. So now this particular server is running on port 3000. So how do we listen for incoming requests and maybe declare routes? So first, you need middlewares to handle the request. So your request comes as your request body can come as JSON. It could come as this URL encoded. So you need to handle requests coming from your whoever is sending the request, whether it's from front end or it's from a machine or whatever. You're going to handle it using either these two. So if I want to handle JSON requests, I'll use this express JSON. Now, this app.use is to tell you that these are middleware. So middleware stands in between the final place your request, like, okay, it stands between where your request is coming from and where your request is supposed to be going to. So take middlewares to be like the police checkpoint. So you start from a destination, you start from a location. Before you get to your destination, you're going to pass through some checkpoints. So middlewares are like those checkpoints. So before this your request gets to maybe where it's supposed to be handled, you now use these middlewares to actually maybe work on those requests before sending it down to the route where that request is required. Okay, so can set middlewares to handle requests to be sent to them. We use app.use, then express URL encoded. Then by default, I think this is this extended false. I don't really know, but it's always set to false. And normally it would work. This would normally work on your sites. So I don't know why you maybe put set this to true. I haven't set it to true before. It's always extended false. And there are other objects like properties you can pass. to this object, and then maybe change the way your how you change the way Express actually treats URL encoded messages. So, oh, what did I just? Okay. So let's continue. So middlewares come in between here. So I could say app.use, then I say express.url encoded extended. So I could set this option extended false. So now I've set up those two middlewares. Now I want to set up routes. So I could now do app.use for a specific route. So if the route is like the parent, like the root route, so I could say app.use. So now routes are like different locations you want to maybe send your request to. So if I want to send it to maybe the index router, for example, I could just name this maybe index router. And of course, this doesn't exist yet. So I'll do something like const index router should be equals to require. So now I need an index folder with a file of that has this index router. So here I would come and create that. I would say new folder, I would call that router. And then inside this router folder, I would create a file. I could call that index.js. Of course, that's where I want to put my request, or put the route that will handle a particular request that comes to this particular uh like base route. So what I would write here, I would say go to dot slash. So dot slash, I'm saying from this parent folder, from where this server.js is, go to router slash index, and then that would be this index router. Now, inside this index router, I want to write what will actually handle the routing, like getting the request and then the response, and then sending back response. So what I can do here is I would say I'll still get Express again. So I would say Express require Express. Then I want to use Express router. So I would say router should be equals to express.router. Then now I can use my route. So I could say router dot get. Now you can still specify routes in here. So I could say router dot get still the base URL, or the base like just slash. So even if I have trailing slashes, it will still just pick one slash. So I could do that, and I'll write a callback function in here which has request and response. Then in here I could say the response should be, I want to send a response. When once you send a request here, I want to send a response, maybe hello, for example. So if I do that, and now I need to export router, this router that I'm using here. So I would say export module dot export equals to router. So now what I've simply done is I've created an entry point and a server here that is listening on port 3000. Then I've created middlewares to handle whatever request is coming in. Then this from here, any request that match this route, or that match any route that I'm going to request, that I'm going to set up here, is going to be handled by this index router. So if it's coming to this slash, it's going to be handled by this index router, which is this index. I can declare another route here. I could say app.use, then in here I could say slash about, and then I say maybe about router. Of course, we don't have about router now, so I'll just copy this and paste. I could call this about router. Oh, hello guys. So I'm so sorry. My laptop just went off on its own. I don't know why that happened. So let's continue. So I hope you guys are there.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So sorry about that. I don't really know. Okay. So let's continue. Now, so where did I stop? I was talking about writing different routes. Okay, so we created a different route. We wanted to create about route too. So I could call this about route and I could call this about. And definitely since this is inside router, we don't have an about.js inside router. So I'll do router new file and I'll say about.js. Of course, I've already written this out, so I could just copy it out and paste here. I could say this is the about page, or this is the about, this is about, or this is the about route. So if I do that now, I need to go to terminal and start up that server. If there is any error, I'll see it from here. Okay, so npm start. So what is it saying? So inside here, okay, it's saying router dot use. Uh, router dot use requires a middleware function, but got an object. So on which particular file is this screaming from? Okay, server.js line 10. So what's the main issue? Or was I supposed to use router.set? Okay, so I think that worked out. So on our browser, if we go to localhost slash or localhost colon 3000, okay, it says can't get. So now this talks, so now we are doing troubleshooting. We are checking defaults in our code if there's any fault. So it can't get slash. So why can't it get slash? This is supposed to be app.use, not app.set. So let's try and figure that out, why that is happening. App.use. Let me try use again. But if I try app.set, it's running perfectly. Then going back to my browser, can't get. So first of all, this is not supposed to be app.set. This is supposed to be app.use. Then express.json, the URL encoded is false. Okay. So I think I am supposed to export this app. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? So I'm not really sure why this is happening. /router/index /router/about. We have express here. We have express here. We use those. And we are saying when we go to slash, we are getting from index router. So let's check what we wrote inside this index router. So in this index router, we required express again. And then we now say router should be equals to express.router. Then we now say router.get. Then we have the request and our response. Now say response.send hello. And then we exported module.export. Wow. So because of S, so guys, coding hard. Don't mind me actually. So it's not so this is just the problem. Just we're not adding S to exports is what made our code to crash. So the whole website or the whole API didn't run because we just added S here. We didn't add S here. So that's crazy. Now, if you notice, now this is running well. Of course, we see that we're having hello here. And that's what we are sending from index router, right? Now, do you guys let me show you something. Now, from here, we are not using about router, but if I try to access about, now I have uncommented those lines, and then I know that if I go to slash about, I'm supposed to see about this about router in action. Let me check if I wrote. Okay, I also made that mistake here. So if I try to go to slash about, if I try to go to slash about here to show you cannot get about, why? Is that because running this server with Node, each time you change something on your code, like I uncommented some lines and the rest, I need to come and manually stop this server and start it again. Now, if I start the server and I come back here and refresh, we now see this is the about route, but we don't want to always stop our server and start it, stop our server and start it again. So there is a dependency that helps us automatically restart our browser anytime we add a new route or anytime we change something. So that dependency is called NodeMon. So if I want to install it, I'll do npm install NodeMon. So NodeMon helps us to automatically refresh our apps each time we make a change. So NodeMon is kind of, in a way, listening for or waiting for your changes. When once you change a file, or you add a new folder, or you remove a folder or something, or you change a file, it's just going to affect that change. So now I could run this server by JS by saying nodemon server.js. Okay, so why is it saying nodemon is not found? Or even if I've installed nodemon. So npm okay, so now I'm not sure why this is not running now. Nodemon server.js. Okay, but let me come in here. Instead of node, I write nodemon and I come and write npm start. Okay. But if I try running nodemon server or nodemon.js server, it's saying command not found. Okay, so I think here I am supposed to run, is it npm nodemon? No, I can't. So I have to include that here. I think node, is it node run server? Can't really remember these things now. Okay, but if you want to include nodemon, just include it on your stats at once. So nodemon server, and then anytime you say npm start, you're going to get your full nodemon server and everything. So even if I come, so now, of course, we have this is the about route here. If I come to change this to maybe this is about, maybe I remove this is there and just change it to this is about, you guys notice that it's automatically restarts the server. And if I refresh here, we see this is the about. So this is you writing your API and then consuming it directly from your front end. So now, instead of using your browser to consume your API, there is what I use. So it's is an extension. It's called REST. Yeah, REST client. So REST client is a simple how do I put it? You can use it to simply consume your APIs without maybe needing to use your browser. So you can send HTTP requests. You can just use it to send HTTP requests to your server and then get a response fast. So if I want to use REST client, the first thing I need to do is I need to create a folder, and then that folder should have the .rest or .http extension. So I could call that server at that file, my requests or my request test.rest. So inside here, I could now write get. So since it's a get request, of course, you know that when you're writing this, it's like saying get request to localhost 3000/about. So I could write get, then I now say http / then column and / localhost dot 3000. Then I could say /about. Then, okay, since I'm not sending anybody, I'm not sending any body, I could just click on this send request, and we see we have a response here with some headers, some extra information. Then I could send request to just /. So this is like a simple way of actually writing your API. So we just created a simple API, and we are actually consuming that API. So you guys, now all these things we've done could be generated automatically. So if you search for Express generator, so instead of each time you want to write your project, instead of writing all these things manually one by one like this, and maybe sometimes you might even run into errors like the way I did. So you can install Express generator globally. So I didn't mention what this -g does. So when you install something globally, it means any folder you are on your laptop, once you run that particular like you want to use this particular dependency in any folder you are, you'll be able to access this dependency. So it means globally, wherever you're using your code, you don't need to maybe reinstall this Express generator. You can use it anywhere. So I've actually done this on my PC. So let's see how Express generator works. So let me open my files. Open up. So let's see how that works out. So this was the express practice there, which is this express practice we are working with. So let me stop the server. Now, let me show you how you can generate this like your folder structure without needing to write much. So I open my terminal, right? So my terminal gets open. I write Express, then I write the name of the project. So I could name that auto gen, or I could name it maybe KodeCamp. KodeCamp beginner NodeJS. So once I press enter, you notice it generates everything for me, everything. So I now see the next step I'm supposed to do. So once I, like after installing the Express generator, this is the command. Just write Express and then the name of the project. So if you do that, it will generate all this. Now it even shows you what to do next. So you change directory to this new. Now, if you notice, we have a new folder named KodeCamp beginner Node.js, which is what we use as the project name. Then after that, you can use after entering that folder, you install all the dependencies. So now before we do that, let's enter this folder. You notice that this folder has a package.json, but it doesn't have a node module, node modules folder. If we go back to this express practice, we see node modules folder, we have package.json too. But inside here, we don't have node modules folder, but we have package.json, which lists out all our dependencies. So let's open that with VS Code. So let's see. So now, what you're supposed to do is, okay, let's just follow what they said here. So we change directory into this KodeCamp beginner. So cd into KodeCamp beginner JS. If we list out whatever we have there, we have all these folders here. We have app.js as the entry point, which is the file. We have bin, we have package.json, we have public, we have routes, we have view, but we don't have node modules. Now we want to install all the modules inside this package.json, which is what we have here. So we have Express, HTTP errors, Jade, Morgan, cookie parser, and the rest. Want to install them. So we could do that by writing npm install. We have a list. Now, one thing is why we don't have the node modules folder is when you're pushing your code online, or you want to share your code with someone, you don't necessarily need to share the node modules folder. You just share the files for that code, and then you just share the files for that code, and then the person will just, and you share the package.json. So with that package.json, the person you are giving your code to can install the dependencies and try it on his laptop. And this another thing is that this node modules is a large folder, so you don't need to install, you don't need to move this node modules folder around, give it to people and the rest. It's not really like that necessary. So so this is the new one we just made out, or we just made using Express generator. So if we check the package.json out, okay, so we have the name as being KodeCamp beginner NodeJS. We have the version to be 0.0.0, private true, so it's not public, private. Then it automatically sets up our script, which is this start node. Then this part is where you're actually going to create your server, which is going to run. Then you have all these dependencies automatically listed here, which we install using npm install here. Where is it? Npm install. So it installed all these dependencies, it put them inside here in this node modules folder. So now if we look at our entry points here, we see that we have more code. We have more than what we wrote before. So the one we wrote before is just minimal, how to create it on your own. But most times you might not have like that time to sit and write all those codes. So you can just automatically generate this. Now, your routes folder is where you keep all your routes, where you want a service consuming your API to be able to query, and what function or what callback function to handle that query. So if we are querying to just slash, for example, we are just querying to the base, for example, then this is the function that is going to handle that's whatever query is coming here. So you notice in this function, we pass a request and a response, right? Don't worry about next, but we passed in a request and a response. So this request contains whatever is coming in as a request to you. It could be what the user sends to you, the features of like maybe if the user sends okay, the origin of the request and some other metadata about that request, and maybe the user's defined request and the rest of the things. Now, this response contains what you want to send back to to the okay, this response contains like methods you can use to send back a response to the person that sent that request, or the particular route, or the particular maybe service or website that sent you that request. So why we have request.render here is we are not just sending back ordinary JSON. We are not just sending back JSON or a text. We want to render index. So now this render works with the views folder. So this is not really something you should worry yourself about. So most times you're going to be using res.send or res.json. But anywhere you see res.render, just know that there is. So now these are templates. So these templates are like, in a way, like HTML. So, but they are not written with HTML, they are written with Jade. So Jade is a templating engine. Even if you notice here, we said the view engine, view engine or templating engine, anyone you call it, is Jade. And then the path to where those Jade files are is inside views. So this is how you can, if you want to write a full stack website in which the front end, the back end is running on one server, you can use this method to write that out. Or if you want to split it into two, like maybe you want your front end to run on another server and you just want this API to run on its own server, then you don't need these views, then you just need only your routes. And another thing I want to say, most times you won't write these functions in here, so it's not really bad to write them in here, but writing it in here will make this particular route folder very large. And then we are looking at there's what is called MVC, model, view, and your controller. So model is for like database, how you want your to structure your data and the rest. Now the view is what you're seeing here, the view. Now you need a controller, like a controller folder where you put in all these functions into that controller folder, and then you can import those functions here into this particular folder. So I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense to you. So instead of having this function here, you could create a controllers folder. So you could just a controllers folder. So I would create a new folder and call it controllers. So then inside this controller, I could create a file inside it named index controller.js. Of course, now what I need to just do is I need to cut this function out first. Then inside this index.controllers, I'll paste that function. So I'll give this function a name, maybe index. And then I can export this function. So now for you to be able to use this function inside index.js, you have to export it. So you do module.export equals to index, so that you'll be able to use this wherever you want. So now I've exported this. I can import it here by doing this. I could name this whatever I want to name it. Index, maybe controller, or whatever I want to name it. Index.controller should be equals to require. Then inside here, I could say, so now I want to leave routes folder and enter controllers folder. So I'll use ... and then slash to go one directory backwards. So one directory backwards to controller, then to index controller. So now inside here, I'll just put in index controller like that. Now let's test if this runs well. So if I open my terminal and write npm start, so yeah, so this server is actually running. So if you want to actually know the port, you can check here. So the port is port 3000. So I think on the debug console, okay. So now if we go to our browser, or we could create that same file here. Maybe we could call it test.rest or test.http. We can get from that 3000. Okay, no. You can use test.rest if you're only trying to consume an API. But in here we have front end stuff, so which means you're actually going to use your browser. So if you go here and if you go to your browser and go to slash, just slash, so you see express, welcome to express, which is what you have inside this index. So it's rendering index, which is this index.jade, and it's passing a title of express inside. If we check index.jade, you'll see h1 title. So this is like creating a h1. We are seeing welcome to, then that title which we passed in as an object, which is equals to express. So that's what we are passing here. If I said welcome to express world, come back here and refresh. Okay, I'm not using NodeMon here. So if I stop that and start it again and come back here to refresh, you see express world, welcome to express world. So I guess that does it for today's class. Now I know I went a little bit fast. So yeah, if you have any question, you could definitely ask here, or you can ask it on the group, on the channel, on the Slack channel at any time. Okay, so did you guys follow? Is there any place you guys didn't understand? Can just like put it on the comments. So I'm watching the comments now. So is there any place you want me to go over again? Okay, so Danix says he's confused about the Jade part. So now that's why I said you shouldn't really worry yourself, because we aren't going to actually write the Jade part in our. So now apart from Jade, there are other templating engines. There's Pork. So if we check for Pork templating engine, Pork. Okay, let me check EJS. EJS template engine. So these templating engines, if you want to use like a template, like you don't want to write maybe you don't want to use React, you want everything to run on one server, then that's where this Jade or EJS or POG would or handlebars would be useful. So let me go over it. So now, oh, where is that place? Okay. So now, the way we write our controllers, you can pass in objects. So you can pass in extra objects here. Now, anytime you write res.render, whatever you put as the first argument is the name of the particular template. So here you're writing res.render. So render means you're trying to, this render will go and check for the engine you put in as like what is going to render that page you're trying to show to the viewers. And then it's now going to check which particular folder your templates are in. So this Jade is kind of like a template for, so now let's say, for example, maybe you did login, logout, or you want to dynamically maybe let's say you're building e-commerce and you just want everything to show here, show you're not building an API, you're building a full website, and then you want your people that visit your website to maybe be able to see dynamically your product, for example. So you can create a products.jade template here somewhere, and then you write maybe products equals to, then you now write maybe products like this. Then inside where you are using that product, you can write maybe there, you just write maybe product, then you now pass in an object here after querying your database. You pass in that object that you get from querying your database in here. Then of course, you know that whatever you pass here, this is going to be the name for that particular object. This is going to be like the key for that particular project. So you can reference that key from inside your template and show it to your users. So in here, we are just saying render index.jade, and then this index.jade, I'm passing this object to be used inside index.jade. So that object has title, and that title is equals to express word. The value of that title is equals to express word. I'm passing this object to index.jade template. So now here you're using that title here, and then don't worry about this layout. This block contents layout is from this layout here. So we said inside here, inside this body, we are including block contents, and then the block content might be this one, it might be this particular block content, depending on where our route goes. But don't just worry about these views. Don't worry about it. What we are interested in is being able to send either JSON or text back to our users, not rendering a template for them, just sending back. So instead of res.render, I could use res.send, and then I can put in. So now if I'm using send, I have to put in maybe text or any other thing. But if I want to send JSON, I'll use res.json. So if I remove that index there, so since I'm sending JSON, it means I'm trying to send an object. So if I come back to the browser and refresh, you're just going to see an object. Okay, I need to stop and start again. Yeah, so now we see title, express word. So this is what we actually want to work with or work on. So don't worry about the template part. Don't really worry about it. So is there any other question? Okay, so someone asked, Ibokun asked, is it a must to include stats in our node modules? No, it's not a must. You can actually start your server without using npm stats. So if you want to start your server without using npm stats, you just run. So in here, so let me get back to my code. So in here, I could write node server.js and use that to start my server, or I could write npm start for convenience to start it up. So you can use your project. You can start your server without using that start, without putting the start here, but for convenience purpose, I think you need to use it. So I think you can do, I think, is it node run, is it node no, node run node mon just okay. Is it nodemon? I can't remember how you run nodemon directly here. It's saying nodemon command is not found. All right, so yeah. So I guess there's no other question. Or is there any other question? So if there's another person that has question, you can ask now. So everybody, I'm looking at the chat section. So everybody, we are on the same page, right? Nobody has a question. All right. So thank you so much for joining today's class. I'm sorry about what happened earlier, that my laptop just off on its own. Like as I was explaining how to set up the routes, it just off on its own, and after some times I could on it back. So I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure that will happen again. All right. So with that said, thank you very much for attending today's class. Bye for now.